It's an honor to be able to speak to you today. I'm speaking to you to commemorate the life and work of Elizabeth Beth Adams of Leverett, Mass. I first met Beth at a Livable Climate conference, in fact, the first one that I attended, which was in March 2018 in Cambridge, where she had a table. She was an exhibitor on behalf of her small organization called Mass Forest Rescue Campaign. I knew her only for about a year, the last year of her life. And we met only about 6 times, but I communicated with her quite a lot of times, many times over that year. And I found that she was a passionate advocate for protecting forests to help save our climate. And even in the final year of her life, I'm going to move on to the next slide actually. Even in the final year of her life, Beth was extremely busy and she worked tirelessly to organize and advance this cause. And that was evidenced by the number of events that she helped to organize, several of which I attended out in Western Mass, and at least 100 emails that she wrote and sent out to a large distribution group. She seemed to be just unflagging in her ability to advance this cause and others. And I learned from her obituary that throughout much of her adult life, Beth was an activist for peace, for social justice, and environmental conservation. And I think that her work truly exemplifies the whole concept of Blessed Unrest, the theme of our conference. Beth hosted a show called the Singing Wilderness and Eco Beat Hour on WMCB.net, which is also 107.9 FM in Greenfield, Mass. At least from 2016 to 2018, if not longer. That I was only able to confirm that she did it for that period, but this screen shows you a sampling of the programs she produced and hosted. And some of them were on forests, some of them were on other things, as you can see. And she reached out to a lot of people in that way. Beth advocated that we change the way we think about forests. We live in a state here that's about 70% forested, in a region that's very forested. Forests are tremendously important and of great value to us. And her sense, and it's mine as well, is that we need to leave behind the 19th century mentality that forests are best utilized as a source of wood and fiber for human use. The inescapable reality in the 21st century is that the more trees we cut, the more we are increasing climate change and decreasing native biodiversity. By the way, the footers in many of her Mass Forest Rescue Campaign emails always included quotes, and here's a couple. The forests of Western Massachusetts are among the most carbon dense in the Northeast region and can remove significant additional carbon dioxide from the atmosphere that statement was by Professor Bill Mumma of Tufts University. And another is, forests are the cheapest, most readily available way to draw down carbon out of the atmosphere, per Michael Kellett, another of my colleagues and Beth's as well. And in this picture is Bob Leverett of Northampton, who's an expert on large trees and has espoused the fact that large trees are, and mature trees, which we have very few of because our forests tend to get cut too often, are the ones that are most effective in terms of sequestering carbon. Beth became very excited by the fact that when she learned that my wife and I had made a donation to the city of Fitchburg to create a 200-acre forest reserve on a particularly biodiverse portion of the northern watershed land that the city of Fitchburg owns. We were able to forestall logging that land for the next 30 years. It was being prepared to be logged. And she drove out to attend the dedication of our forest reserve in May 2018. You can see her in the picture. And she happened to be standing next to and having talked with Marion Stoddard, another tremendous exemplar of Blessed Unrest. Marion is in her 90s now, but she was the founder of the Natural River Watershed Association and is the subject of a movie called The Work of 1,000 for what she managed to accomplish in tremendous efforts during her life. I learned from her obituary that Beth was a witness against torture, steadfastly supporting the closure of Guantanamo. She was also involved in the Raging Grannies, the Code Pink for Peace, Greening Greenfield, and the Mount Toby Society of Friends in Leverett. Quoting from her obit, it said, "Throughout her life, she never stopped caring for the disenfranchised, fighting for indigenous groups and immigrants. In her nonprofit and volunteer work, she sought to provide a voice for the forests, rivers, animals, and the totality of the natural world." She was truly a beautiful spirit, and we were blessed to have her among us. And this is actually tomorrow will be the first anniversary of her death. So it's very fitting that we are here just spending a few minutes remembering her. I just noticed this come in the day before yesterday. The two colleagues whose quotes I just read you are actually offering the following Zoom presentations this coming Tuesday and the following Tuesday. And if you're interested in the work that Beth was doing on forests, these would be great talks to listen to. So with that, I'll stop sharing my screen. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Go ahead, Pat.
Hi, I'm Pat O'Brien, and I knew Beth for many years.
Oh, wonderful.
She was a member of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, and she was a tireless peace advocate. I mean, I would be really stretched to find anybody that worked so hard as Beth did. Beth was unbelievable. She had her fingers in a lot of pies, so, you know, she never really became famous or whatever, but she worked with Francis Crowe out there, and she just was an amazing worker. I don't think I've ever known anybody. She went to jail, I don't know how many times for peace. She was just involved with, you know, wherever there was efforts for peace and freedom. And, you know, like you said, the immigrants, the forest, yes, oh my God, and the environment. She gave us talks up at the gathering in Vermont at Robin Lloyd's place. She was just amazing. She was always doing something, always contacting you about something. And she was just tireless and had no self-consciousness about, you know, whatever it was that she was into. She was just an amazing person, and I really admired her. I'm sorry that I didn't, you know, connect with her more, but she did live far away. Anyway, so thank you, Ralph, for this memoriam, and I'm really so happy because I was not able to be at her memorial service, and I haven't really, said very much about. I've done too much about her, but I really feel her presence was so important, and maybe not recognized at the time so much.
Okay, well,
But
thank you,
I'm
Pat.
sure her daughters are very, very proud of her. So
Thank you, Pat. I really appreciate your words about her.